Out by the Jets after the breaking news. This morning, I informed Robert Saleh, this is the owner of the Jets, Woody Johnson, that he will no longer serve as the head coach of the Jets. I thanked him for his hard work these past 3.5 years and wished him and his family well moving forward. This was not an easy decision, but we are not where we should be given our expectations, and I believe now is the best time for us to move in a different direction. Defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich will serve as our interim head coach for the remainder of the season. You can bring us on camera. The rest is essentially just fluff. Let's ask this question now, because the Jets made this decision, a wild decision, but a necessary decision. Let them tell it, because they believe they still have championship expectations. They believe the season is still salvageable. They believe they still have a lot to play for. I agree with them. Shady, I look at the roster, I say, wait a second, defensively, you still got a lot of talent. The Minnesota Vikings are undefeated, and you took the Vikings down to the wire. Aaron Rodgers had the ball, final possession, could have won that game. If Robert Saleh chooses to kick a field goal in the first quarter at the 26-yard line, you're only down by 3. You can easily tie that game or win that game. I do believe the Jets season is still salvageable, and I do think this was the right decision. If nothing else, but remember, James, you'll know this best, and football fans, I'll challenge your memory here. The Raiders fired their head coach, I believe it was John Gruden. Rich Bisaccia comes in, a special teams coach. He injects some life into that organization. Raiders make a playoff run. They inevitably lose to the Bengals. Bengals go to the Super Bowl. I'll use the Raiders again. They fired their head coach last season. Dan McDaniels, I believe his name is. Antonio Pierce injects some life into that franchise. They go on a run. You do see oftentimes when a coach gets fired, at least for a moment, you can inject life into an organization, and who knows how long that life will last, but at least for a moment, you see time after time, a coach firing injects life, energy, hope, and belief into an organization. Shady, do you believe that the Jet season is still salvageable?
I truly don't know, man, because, like, that was a good example you just used, but even like Antonio Pierce, like, the difference was when he came on board, you seen a super big spark on the defense, right? You didn't see the super big spark on the offense. Kind of was the same, maybe a little better. When I look at this situation, you fire Robert Saleh, and then you go get the same guys like a defensive dude. The defense didn't need a spark. They already were playing well. The last 2-3 weeks, they've been playing solid, like Jets defense. So you bring in this new coach to give the team a spark, but where at? Because the defense don't need a spark. The offense needs a spark. So if it was me and we're making this going a different direction for the betterment of the team, which they trying to say, well, go out there and get an offensive guy. Because who needs a spark? It's not the defense, not the cornerbacks, not the guys in line, on defensive linemen. It's the offense. Go out there and get an offensive guy to give his team a spark, because that's what's needed best.
Yeah, I'm worried exactly what you said, because the offense is the one that needs
They need a spark.
Life injected into them. Their defense right now, they're tied for 5th in points per game. They're only giving up 17th. They're 2nd in pass yards per game. They're only giving up 136 pass yards a game. And then 2nd in total yards per game. They're a top 5 defense.
Oh, man.
You take away the play caller of that defense. Jeff Ulbrich does not call plays for the defense. This will be Jeff Ulbrich's first time with the Jets, I know since Robert Saleh's been there, that he's actually on the field calling defensive plays. There will be a huge disconnect on that defensive side of the football. Like, how are you going to handle a brand new play caller? How are you going to handle maybe a different scheme? Not necessarily scheme, but like, I like to blitz a little bit more. The Jets really don't blitz that much, right, Acho? Like, they don't really bring pressure.
Right.
But maybe I want to bring pressure now. And it's going to mess up the whole scheme of the defense. So I'm worried about that. Most importantly, though, I'm worried about the offense. Like, it looks stale. There's no shifts. There's no motions. They don't scheme their guys to get open. You know, I can't imagine what this means for the Devontae Adams trade, if it goes through now or not, because they need another weapon, all this stuff. So I'm worried about it. And honestly, we're going to have a seat at the table in prime time, because 3 of their next 4 games are in prime time. Like, the whole world is going to see, starting Monday night versus the Bills, what kind of team this is. And I agree with you, like, it could light a fire, but how long that fire going to last in the locker room?
That's the
because you actually got to go out there. You fired your play caller. You said head coach. Forget about that. You fired your defensive play caller. The defense is the strength of the team. How do they respond?
James, can they salvage the season? Will they?
I don't know. This is tough for me, because I was in the building. I wasn't in the locker room because I've been done playing, but I was in the building with Josh McDaniels and Antonio Pierce. Josh McDaniels had lost the whole building.
Oh.
You understand what I'm saying? Not just the locker room, the whole building. Nobody wanted Josh McDaniels there, the whole building. So when Antonio Pierce came in, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air. My man went around to the whole building like, man, let's all meet. Everybody in the building, everybody in front of their little laptop, come down here to the team meeting, man. Let's bring some light to this whole situation. Let's know how to work together, everybody in this thing together, players included. So with this situation, I don't necessarily know Robert Saleh has truly lost the locker room and the defense. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know if a new coach coming in there, they're like, cool, Robert Saleh gone. I don't necessarily know that. But one thing I do know is there's no way that Robert Saleh came in with his key card today and checked up and walked up to his office and they said, the reason why we firing you is because the defense ain't good. You can't say that to him, right? Because if you say that to him, you're going to be lying to him. So they had to say, man, listen, man, the culture around here, since you've been around here, these things ain't good. That ain't good. This ain't good. It's time for change in here in this building. That's the only way. So is it salvageable? I do not know for the Jets. The only time will tell when they step out here on this football field, and we'll see how they playing. But I don't know, because I think this is a unique situation. Usually when a coach gets fired, when Dennis Allen got fired, leaving London, we were not a good football team. The culture was not good. We all understood on that plane like, yeah, it's time for a change. I don't necessarily know that players really feel like that in the Jets, especially on the defensive side of the ball because they interact with him the most. So it's going to be interesting to see this one.
Here's my question now. How much pressure is on Aaron Rodgers? Because now they've truly gone all in. Your offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, is there because of Aaron Rodgers. Your head coach is no longer there because of Aaron Rodgers' play at a minimum and at most because of Aaron Rodgers' words. How much pressure is on Aaron Rodgers? This team has literally put its entire franchise. Breaking news, head coach for the Jets, Robert Saleh, you have heard it by now, fired. A 20-36 overall record, third worst over that tenure. He was only 5 games into his 4th season as head coach. Remember, Woody Johnson, owner of the Jets, has never fired a coach in the middle of the season. What the Jets did this season, well, there were some ups and some downs. It's a young season. But remember, Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be the savior of the season. But Rodgers threw 3 interceptions in their loss overseas. It was to some degree, if you would call it a primetime game, no competition during that hour, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, played in London, and they lost to the Minnesota Vikings. Putting context to that situation, Minnesota Vikings are starting Sam Darnold. They got Kevin O'Connell as a head coach. They got Brian Flores as a defensive coordinator. And that Vikings team, which I would suggest is a less talented team, is 5-0. This Jets team is 2-3. So, James, let me start with you. You know Aaron Rodgers. You played with Aaron Rodgers. This is now spinning it forward. Is the Saleh firing a bad look for Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, that's a good question.
You'll be honest and speak from the heart, please.
Always do.
James, look at me.
Good question.
Speak from the heart, my
That's a
brother.
good question. I'm thinking. Is it a bad look for Aaron Rodgers? No, because Aaron Rodgers has been in the Jets building for 4 or 5 games with Robert Saleh. I think this firing is from years of Robert Saleh being there. That's what I think of. The culture and the way it's been over there, it was like that before Aaron Rodgers. They were losing before Aaron Rodgers. Yes, we thought Aaron Rodgers would come over here and make them a winning team. Has Aaron Rodgers been playing lights out this year? Absolutely not. He has not been playing good football. But I cannot say this is a bad look for Aaron Rodgers because he's coming off of an Achilles injury, 40 years old, doing what he can, but it's the same things culture-wise over there in that building. So I'm not ready to say and put this on Aaron Rodgers. It's not a bad look on Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers' job is to play on the football field. The only bad look for Aaron Rodgers right now is the offense is not playing well. Obviously, this decision did not come from Aaron Rodgers, in my humble opinion. It came from up top and the things that they have been experiencing for years. I think that is why they made this decision. So this is not a bad look on Aaron. We want to put it on Aaron, but he's not the first coach to get fired in the middle of the season. Am I correct? There's been plenty of coaches to get fired in the middle of the season. So I'm not ready to say, Aaron, this is an up-top decision, and I believe it has to do a lot with culture and since he's been there these 4 years.
What was the question again?
Is this a bad look for Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, it is. I think it is. And I don't think it's just this year. I don't think Aaron Rodgers has played well this year. We can both agree on that. He's played okay. But this goes back way further for me. I would almost call Aaron Rodgers a coach killer.
Now you cooking. I like what you're putting that seasoning for that meal you're doing. I like that.
Go ahead, talk to us.
Mike McCarthy got fired mid-season in 2018 in December. Rodgers started all 16 games. They bring in Matt LaFleur. That offense was a struggle. You saw that relationship not do good. They changed the entire offense for Aaron Rodgers, and
That's
they
right.
were not good the last 2 years he was there. And what was their offense last year without Aaron Rodgers? Because Matt LaFleur was able to get in there and cook and do the offense that he wanted. It was excellent. They made it to the divisional round, right? The Packers. And then you get Robert Saleh for 6 games, and then you get him fired. He's a coach killer, bro. Like, let's